You know that initial rush you get when you first start learning English and feel like, wow, anything's
Oh,
possible?
yeah, that excitement is powerful.
But what happens when that energy starts to fade? Or you hit a plateau, feel stuck, maybe even wonder if you should just give up. It happens to so many people.
It really does. That initial spark, well, it doesn't always last. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Motivation and self-discipline. How to keep them going for your English learning.
Right, because whether you're just starting out or you've been at it for a while, figuring out how to stay motivated, how to be disciplined, that's honestly the key to actually getting fluent, isn't it?
It really is. It's what keeps you showing up day after day, even when things get tough or boring.
So our mission for this deep dive is to explore how you build that inner drive, the motivation, and crucially, the ability to stick with it, that self-discipline.
And we want to give you practical tips, some real techniques you can actually use.
Okay, let's kick things off with motivation itself, that inner drive. What exactly are we talking about when we say motivation for learning English? Why does it feel so strong sometimes?
Put simply, motivation is really just that internal push. It's the why behind you choosing to study or practice speaking or listen to this deep dive right now.
Got it. And it's interesting, our sources talk about two main flavors of motivation, right? Intrinsic and extrinsic.
Exactly. Intrinsic is, well, it's learning because you genuinely want to. You enjoy the process itself. Maybe you love the challenge, or you want to read books in English, watch movies without subtitles.
Or just connect with people.
Precisely. It comes from inside, from your own interests and the satisfaction you get. It tends to last longer because, it's self-fueled.
Okay, that makes sense. The personal fulfillment part. So then extrinsic motivation is the opposite.
It's driven by external factors, things outside of you, like needing English for a promotion or maybe passing a specific exam.
Or maybe getting praise from your teacher or family.
Yeah, exactly. Those external rewards or pressures.
So which one is, better or more effective?
Well, it's interesting. Intrinsic motivation often provides more staying power. It's more sustainable long term.
Yeah.
But the reality for most learners, it's usually a mix of both.
Oh, okay.
You might start because you need English for your job. That's extrinsic.
Right.
But then you discover you actually love watching English comedies or talking to native speakers. That's intrinsic kicking in. A blend can be really powerful.
That totally rings true. You start for one reason, find another along the way. But we all know that feeling when the initial excitement, well, it just wears off. Life gets busy or it just feels harder than you thought. Why does that happen? And how do we stop motivation from just, disappearing?
Yeah, that drop-off is super common. The novelty fades, the daily grind sets in. This is exactly why understanding your personal why is so critical.
Your reason for starting in the first place.
Yes, but digging really deep. Ask yourself, why do I truly want this? Not just a surface answer. Knowing those core reasons acts like an anchor.
An anchor? How so?
Well, when your motivation dips, and it will, you can consciously revisit those reasons. Remind yourself why it matters to you. It helps you refocus, get back on track.
Okay, so knowing your why gives you direction. And that seems like a natural lead-in to talking about goals, right? Because just saying, I want to be fluent is, well, it's a huge and vague.
Absolutely. It's like wanting to travel without picking a destination. You'll just wander aimlessly. Clear goals give you that direction, that focus.
Our sources really hammered this point home. Without clear goals, you can feel lost, like you're not making progress.
Exactly. And that's where something like the SMART method becomes incredibly useful.
SMART ET. Okay, sounds structured. Let's break that down. What does each letter stand for?
Right. So S is for specific. Your goal needs to be clear and well-defined, not just improve English.
More like,
I want to improve my confidence speaking about my work in English. Much clearer.
Okay, specific. Then M is for measurable. How do you measure confidence?
Good question. You need a way to track progress. So maybe I want to be able to give a 5-minute presentation about my project without reading from notes. That's measurable. You either did it or you didn't.
Right, okay. Makes sense. A is for achievable. This seems important.
Crucial. Your goal needs to be realistic for you, considering your current level, time, resources. Setting impossible goals just leads to frustration.
Yeah, like aiming for native fluency in 3 months when you're a beginner, probably not achievable.
Probably not. So be ambitious, but realistic. Next is R.
Relevant.
Relevant, meaning it connects back to my why.
Exactly. Does this specific goal actually help you achieve your bigger reason for learning English? If you're learning for travel, focusing intensely on academic writing might not be the most relevant goal right now.
Got it. Keep it aligned. And the first T.
Time-bound. Give yourself a deadline. It creates urgency and prevents procrastination.
So instead of learn new words, it's learn 20 new words related to my hobbies by the end of this month. Perfect. That deadline makes it concrete. And sometimes people add a second T for trackable or tangible, just reinforcing that you need to see progress.
SMART TT. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. That really transforms a vague wish into an actual plan.
It does. And another key point our sources mentioned is breaking those bigger goals down.
Into smaller steps. Why is that so helpful?
Because fluency or mastery can feel overwhelming, like this giant mountain to climb. Breaking it down into smaller, manageable steps like master 10 irregular verbs this week or have one short conversation daily makes it feel doable.
Like mini goals.
Exactly. Each small win builds momentum and confidence. It makes the journey less daunting.
So clear goals broken down into steps. That's like having a roadmap, isn't it? Guiding you forward.
Precisely. You know where you're going, and you can see the milestones along the way.
Okay, so we've got our why, our motivation, we've set our SMART goals. What's the next piece of the puzzle for making real progress?
The next essential ingredient is building a consistent study routine, showing up regularly.
Consistency. It doesn't sound glamorous, but everyone says it's key. Why is that regular effort, even if it's small, so much better than, say, cramming for hours once a week?
Well, think about how learning works. You're building connections in your brain. Short, regular practice strengthens those connections much more effectively than one long, exhausting session. It's like watering a plant a little bit regularly is better than a flood once a month.
Good analogy. Your brain needs that regular exposure to absorb things properly.
And it helps make it a habit.
Okay, but life is busy. How do you actually build a routine you can stick to? Any practical tips?
Start small. Seriously small, if needed. Don't suddenly try to find 2 extra hours in your day. Maybe it's just 15 minutes of listening while you commute.
Or 10 minutes of flashcards during lunch.
Exactly. Find those pockets of time you can realistically commit to almost every day. Then maybe you can gradually increase it.
Then tools, like planners or reminders.
Definitely helpful. Schedule it in your calendar like any other appointment. Set phone reminders. Use a habit tracker app. Make it visible. Make it harder to ignore.
Accountability. And you mentioned variety earlier too, right? Don't just do grammar drills every single day.
Please don't. Mix it up. Listen one day, read the next, practice speaking, watch a video, play a game. Keep it interesting. Engaging different skills keeps your brain active and prevents boredom, which is a major routine killer.
Okay, so start small, use reminders, mix it up. But what about, well, inevitably you miss a day? Or maybe even a few days if things get crazy. Is it all ruined?
Absolutely not. This is so important. Missing a day is normal. It happens. The key is not to think, oh, well, I failed, and give up completely.
But what do you do?
Just get back on track the next day, acknowledge it happened, don't beat yourself up, and just restart the routine. One missed session, or even a few, doesn't erase all your previous effort. It's about the long-term pattern.
That's really reassuring. Be kind to yourself. Okay, so we have motivation, SMART goals, a consistent routine. But then there are those days you just don't feel like it. Motivation is low. What then?
Yes. That's where self-discipline comes marching in.
The tough one. Define self-discipline for us in this context.
It's basically the ability to do what you need to do, to follow your plan, even when you don't feel motivated. It's choosing the long-term goal over the short-term comfort of, say, watching TV instead.
Okay. It sounds like something you have to build, like a muscle. How do you strengthen it for language learning?
One powerful way is habit formation, like we discussed with routines. Make studying English so ingrained, so automatic like brushing your teeth, that it requires less conscious willpower.
So the consistency helps build the discipline muscle.
Absolutely. Start with that tiny, manageable commitment. Achieve it consistently. That success builds the belief that you can stick to things, which strengthens your discipline for potentially larger commitments later.
Makes sense. What about distractions? They seem like the enemy of self-discipline. Phones buzzing, social media.
Huge enemies. Managing distractions is key. Create a dedicated study space if possible. Turn off notifications seriously. Turn them off. Set specific focus times and let others know you're unavailable. Minimize the temptations.
Create a bubble of focus, okay? But even with the best intentions, we slip up, we get distracted, we skip a session because we're tired. How do we handle those moments without letting our self-discipline crumble?
Again, self-compassion is vital. Avoid harsh self-criticism. Think about it like training physically. Some days you lift less, some days you miss the gym. It doesn't mean you stop training.
Right.
Acknowledge the slip-up, maybe briefly reflect on why it happened. Was I too tired? Did I plan poorly? Learn from it if you can, and then just recommit. Get back to it. The important thing is not giving up entirely.
Resilience again, bouncing back. And ultimately, the stronger that self-discipline muscle gets, the easier it is to keep going, even when motivation is having an off day.
Exactly. You become less reliant on waiting for inspiration to strike. You have the system, the habit, the discipline to carry you through the dips. It makes the whole process much more sustainable.
Okay, this is all making so much sense. We have the foundations: motivation, goals, routine, discipline. But English learning is a long game. How do we keep all this going, maintain that drive and focus over months, even years?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? For the long haul, you need ongoing strategies. One really effective one is celebrating small victories.
What do you mean by small?
Anything. Successfully ordering coffee in English, understanding a joke in a movie, learning 5 new words and actually using one. Acknowledge these moments. Pat yourself on the back. Feel proud.
It's easy to overlook those small steps when you're focused on the big goal of fluency.
So easy. But those small wins fuel your motivation. They remind you that you are making progress. Another huge factor is keeping it interesting and fun.
We touched on variety and routines.
Yes, but this is broader. If you're getting bored with your textbook, ditch it for a while. Watch that English TV series you've been wanting to see. Find podcasts on topics you genuinely love. Play language games. Chat with native speakers about shared hobbies. Focus on enjoying the process.
Makes sense. If it feels like a chore all the time, you're less likely to stick with it. What about connecting with other people? Does community help?
Immensely. Joining a study group, an online forum, or even just having a language exchange partner provides support. You realize you're not alone in the struggles.
You can share tips, celebrate wins together.
Exactly. And seeing others succeed can be really inspiring. It creates accountability and makes the journey feel less solitary.
Community is powerful. And you mentioned earlier about revisiting your why. How crucial is that for the long term?
Absolutely fundamental. When things get tough, when you hit a plateau, consciously reconnect with your core reasons for learning. Why did you start this? What doors do you want English to open?
Maybe even write them down. Or create a vision board.
Great ideas.
Yeah.
Anything that keeps that purpose visible and reminds you what you're working towards when motivation naturally ebbs.
Okay. And overarching all of this, what's the most important mindset to keep?
Patience and kindness to yourself. Language learning is not linear. There will be ups and downs, fast progress, and slow patches. That's normal.
It really is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. Be patient with the process, be kind to yourself when you stumble, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other, even if they're small steps.
That's such a vital perspective. Okay, let's try and wrap this up. To summarize this deep dive on motivation and self-discipline, what are the absolute key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the main thing is this. Your motivation will go up and down. That's normal. But building self-discipline through habits and routines and setting those clear, smart goals, that's what keeps you moving forward consistently, even on the low motivation days.
Right, so the actionable steps are: get really clear on your goals, make them specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, build a study routine that actually fits your life, even if it starts small, and work on making it a habit.
Yes.
Celebrate every little success along the way. Keep things interesting. Connect with others.
Yeah.
And be patient. Be kind to yourself. Remember, it's a long journey.
You got it.
Yeah.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
Yeah.
Take a moment today. Just really reflect on your deepest reason for learning English, your core why.
Okay.
And then based on that, identify just one small, concrete thing you can do today or maybe tomorrow to strengthen your self-discipline muscle and take a step towards that goal. Just one small thing.
That's a great actionable challenge. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope this conversation has given you some useful ideas and maybe a little boost for your own English learning journey.